Morning. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, so what do most normal people do at this point? Absolutely nothing, in fact, they stay in bed. But I'm going to get on a bus and go to Teddington and talk about risk. This is in itself a risk, I'm pretty certain. Oh.
Welcome to another episode of Toby's Stupid Vlog.
So I'm back here again. It's now gone 2 o'clock, so I've had this morning's we call it an away day, but it's not really. It's more of a, because we're not going away, we're actually in the office. It's more of an informal briefing in a way, unlike a board meeting where you have formal constraints on you. Here it's a sort of free flow of ideas and information. And it was very helpful this morning talking about risks of the business and what everyone perceived as being the bigger ones and what people's appetites were. So it's very good. Anyway, now I'm going into Kew to meet Crystal in a moment. As we can see, the Mortlake Road in Kew is, as always, absolutely terrible traffic, which is only a problem because later on today we're supposed to be driving down to Farnborough for my cousin's birthday, and we'll have to go down that road. Anyhow, the reason that I'm walking into Kew is that the house on the corner at the back of the station, not on the village side, on the other side, has been, it was for sale when I first moved to Kew 8 years ago, and it got bought finally about a year ago. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it's been done up, and we've been ever so curious about it. The bloke who used to live there was a massive hoarder and no one wanted to buy it. Someone has bought it, they dismantled half of it, I think I've showed you before, and then they built it back up again. Been very curious about what it is and like whether it's still residential or commercial or what have you. And now we get to see the inside because it is Open House London this weekend and they're opening it up. So we're going to go and have a nose round, finally, after 8 years. It's really bright. Yeah, good view. And there's the station. This is the top floor / mezzanine.
Hello.
I'm not seeing the right number of candles myself. But never mind, we don't discount. I know. Can I just... Can I just say, big thanks to everybody for turning up tonight. Those who've come from Weston-super-Mare, Salisbury, South Brent, and even Farnborough. And happy birthday, dear Grandma. Happy birthday to you. That's good thing.
Thank you for coming, everybody, and keep on dancing. Everybody's got to dance now. No sitting down. Right.
Hello, happy Sunday. So I'm currently making a moussaka, which we'll have this evening. Crystal's off at an afternoon tea, and I'm also editing a video at the same time. So, you know, pretty normal Sunday. Had quite a good time at Isabel's birthday last night. Got back and sort of crashed out. I think I slept for like 11 hours yesterday. Check out my crow. He's massive and he doesn't like the look of me. Yeah, so a really long sleep. So I'm feeling slightly more with it than I was last week. So that's good. I'm going to get some lunch things, and then this afternoon, as it's more open house today, we're going to see the parliamentary Undercroft. To explain that in a bit more detail, St Mary's Chapel is actually underneath the Houses of Parliament, and that's where we're going at 4:40 this afternoon. There he is, the parts of Westminster. I very much doubt I'll be allowed to film inside, but I really will try, if at all possible. It's quite awesome, I haven't been in here for a while. There's a building which I have a huge amount of respect for, it's just people inside that I don't. We are inside the Palace of Westminster, inside the ground I should say. So, this is Westminster Hall, which is where we're going to go underneath eventually. Westminster Hall. Very impressive. Huge structure. Certainly compared to the Commons and the Lords, this is a massive room. Very, very impressive indeed. And they do have Westminster Hall debates, but they do really need to do up the whole house, both houses, and they're crumbling really and they're in a really bad state. But they would have to move them out of this building altogether, and they don't seem to be completely decided on how they're going to do that. So we didn't get to film inside of the chapel because it is still consecrated and therefore they forbid filming and photography. In fact, it's only open to the public once a year, which is an open house. Other than that, it is the only people who can use it are people who work in the Palace of Westminster. It's tiny, it's absolutely stunning, and it dates from the 1200s. And if you get a chance to go to open house next year, I'd advise you put your name down so you can pop in and have a look. So I will show you a picture, but this is all I have. Anyway, it is Monday and I have been busy finishing off work because today's technically my day off. So I'm trying to finish up everything so I can start again tomorrow. I think I'm getting a sore throat at the same time, which is how I know autumn's nearly here. It could just be because I'm hungry, which is why I'm going to go buy things and then shove them in my mouth hole. So I know I said at the end of the last vlog that this week would be less interesting. That's not technically true. There'll be less golf carts. I will still be filming in lots of very random places. Filming something with the MAAs in an office somewhere in Soho. Filming in Gaucho in Piccadilly. That should be quite interesting. Got a couple of board meetings in the evening. I'm in Camden. And I'm opening a playground on Friday. So it's not going to be too bad actually. I'll talk about the playground when I get closer to it. Good morning. So I don't have to be in work today until midday. So because I was indoors all day yesterday playing catch up on videos and housework and kind of things, I'm making the most of it. We're going for a little stroll before I get on the train. Here we are back in the gardens, or as I like to call it, home. There's a lot of tree pruning's been going on here. Some big branches have had to come off, as you can see. Lots of ropes, excellent tractor. So that's all going well. You can tell the school holidays are over. It's very pleasant. In fact, summer is nearly over. Autumn starts at 3 on Thursday. You might think that's very precise, but it is obviously because it's to do with the alignment of planets and the sun. So that's when the autumnal equinox is. That's when everything is perfectly in equilibrium. So anyone who tells you that autumn starts on the 21st, rubbish. It doesn't. It starts at 3 p.m. on the 22nd this year. It's not always exactly the same time as you might imagine. So let's go and see, as I have been for the last few months, how the woodland house is doing. Kew is so much more interesting when there's nobody else here. You do actually feel like you've invaded the woodland So far today I've seen the remains of an eaten pigeon, which I presume has been got by a fox, and the remains of a fox, which I don't know, let's say a bear maybe? It's just a fox skull actually. Yes, nature is really going on here in amongst the redwoods. Well, they've laid a bit of paving. This is where the path is going to go. It'll start the ground and work its way up to the back of the house. When they say open autumn 2016, I presume they mean half term in reality, so not till middle of October. There hasn't been an awful lot done on the outside since we were here last. Presumably work is going on fitting the inside. I always say you should come when it's empty, but I don't recall seeing it this empty kind of ever. Oh look, it's a person. There we go. I recall seeing it this empty with 2 other people, but it has been eerily quiet. Maybe it's not proper opening time yet, maybe it's only members opening. Either way, it's awesome. On my way to Gaucho to film this afternoon. I've been this morning in Camden. Haven't been here in a while. Here's a place I don't miss. England's crap answer to Disney World. Very strange. I'm just walking down Piccadilly and I really like this street, and yet it's very similar in many ways to Leicester Square, like completely filled with tourists and whatnot. It's just got character, so maybe my hatred of Leicester Square is irrational and based purely on the fact that Global's there. I don't know. Maybe there's just nothing of value in that square. Nice statue of the Bard, but that's it. Like nothing of significance, of any historical significance, that is. Anyway, let's not worry about that. We're going up here, we're going to Gaucho to do some filming and social media and stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if I'm the first person here.
The black washing up drape that went across there hasn't lasted 30 seconds. It's cheap gas. Cheap string. Cheap tape. And that's a very simple charge. Who's hungry? Quickly. So, brings us on to probably the one everybody loves the most, which is our filler steak.
So it's been straight from one film shoot to the other. I've gone from Gaucho, went home, went to bed, got up, come here to Beak Street, where I've been filming a roundtable discussion for the Marketing Agencies Association, and now I'm going back to the office in Camden. Right then, up in Camden, which is just frankly at this point a terrible freak show. I fit quite in with my strange nose. Off to Teddington next. I'll be honest though, I'm really tired now. Could do it to be in the weekend tomorrow, but I'm actually back here tomorrow morning. And tomorrow afternoon I'm opening a playground, which we'll talk about in a moment. I came home briefly before going to Teddington. Look how amazing the cloud formations look this evening. Yeah, I get excited by clouds. They're really good clouds. So tomorrow I'm opening a playground, as I've mentioned, but I haven't mentioned why. The simple reason is that on one of RHP's estates, they've done a new children's playground, and I will be going along with the Mayor of Richmond to formally open a new playground, which, you know, 10-year-old me would be really, really excited about, and 36-year-old me is pretty excited about, if I'm honest. So that's going to be quite fun, and that will be what we'll end the week on. I'm so tired, as I mentioned this week. I've slightly misjudged what work I can and can't do in terms of how early and late I've been finishing. And I just need sleep. And I can feel my brain is just operating at about 50%, but there's not a lot I can do until tomorrow evening, post playground, and then I'll just crash out. Just have to see about how today's board meeting goes. So I'm on my way to the playground. Just had a moderately terrifying bus ride. So I got out a little early because the driver was, well, I mean, if I didn't know better, I'd say unqualified to drive a bus. Anyway, it's much more chilled here on the streets of Teddington. So let's see what the playground looks like. So that's really impressive, isn't it? So that's a little panorama of the area, which has been put in. It used to be a boarded up cage, an old, sports ground that was just disused because it had been misused for years. And after various funding from different people, it's now looking really impressive. But the highlight, for me at least, was when the Mayor of Richmond turned up and he had a little dance. So there we go. Anyway, that is it for this week. I'm going home now. I'm going to go and get on a bus, go home and have some curry. And it's going to be great because we get a weekend off. Actually, it's better than a weekend off. We get to go to a braai, which is South African barbecue, as I'm sure I tried to explain when I played cricket that time. So it's excellent. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and looking forward to lying in a little bit, if I'm honest. Only caught up on a bit of sleep last night. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this nonsense, and I hope you will subscribe by clicking the big red button at the bottom, and if you do, that will mean that I'll see you next week.
Toby